We'd like to give a special shout out to the following people for making this episode and the rest of Act 3 possible. Louis, Malaya, Reg, Daniel Athern, Osterkim, Vanna, Finch, Dr. Dan Venning, Sleepless Berrey, Court, Rogue Canoe, John and Muna, Sadie, Zay the Great, Elliot Kane, and Trident. Thank you for your support. Maraming salamat. You're listening to Hainai by Matsi Dapo. Episode 77. Titig.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
I told you, dude. I told you.
Holy shit. He really pulled through.
And y'all doubted me. Suck it.
Fuck you, Van. You never get us good locations.
With our luck, we can't even get inside.
Jesus Christ. Y'all are such killjoys. How about we check it out before we start the whining?
Are we sure it's safe?
That wasn't an invitation to start, Sal.
Lay off, dude. It's a good question.
Christ. We won't know if it's safe until we look the location over, all right? We'll do all the checks. Obviously we will.
Like with the sanitarium?
That wasn't my fault. They gave us bad info.
Where'd you even hear about this place anyway?
Katie's friend, what's her name? Jamie, Jam, or Jamila or something? We were talking about horrible families, and she said her great-grandpa was this, rich psychopath who tortured people in his basement in the woods or something. Found an article about it in the archives. Nobody's written about it since then, so we've got first dibs on the site. Our fans are gonna fucking love it.
Our fans love us faking getting lost in a subway maintenance tunnel. They're not exactly a discerning bunch.
Look, I hate to agree with Van on anything, love, but that's kind of a killjoy thing to say.
It might be a good video if we can secure the place. As long as we can get in, I'm sold.
Fine. I've clearly been outvoted.
Guess so. As long as it's safe.
I knew you'd see it my way, D. We're going to go so fucking viral.
Sometimes, living so close to the Four Seasons Center was more of a problem than a convenience for Patty Espinoza. Especially in the wintertime. In spring, summer, fall, she could take the beautiful walk down through Queen's Park, a leisurely 20-minute walk before she arrived for rehearsals. Winter was a different story. The mornings weren't bad. Even the chilliest morning felt refreshing when she was stuck in her stuffy apartment. And when they were lucky enough to get a bit of sunlight, the quiet mornings felt peaceful and perfect. But when it snowed, when the gloom stretched over Toronto's skies, it was different. The snow made the walk a bit more of an inconvenience. And at night, oh, the night. There was an oppressiveness to the night that just didn't exist in the springs and summers. Maybe it was because summers stretched daytime well into the evening. Maybe it was because quiet nights didn't exist when it was warm. Winter nights walking home were a heavy, silent affair. And this year was worse than ever, with a strange uneasiness that had settled over the city. No news channels were reporting about it, but Patty noticed it, and so did the rest of Toronto. Online, people talked about weird things happening in and around the city. Nothing solid, nothing that could be confirmed, and nothing that could be connected, except with a singular descriptor of weird. She considered getting a rideshare every night this winter, just so she wouldn't have to feel this fear. But with how many others had the same idea? The surge pricing was insane, and she was close enough to walk, so wasting $15 to $30 every day didn't really appeal to her. She could take the subway for a couple of stops, of course, but with how often the TTC broke down, especially along her stretch of track, she ended up walking more often than not anyway. Just a bit quicker that way. The strange feeling wasn't just when she was out at night, however. When she danced alone on the stage, trying to get used to the feeling of dancing in front of such yawning darkness, even if she knew those seats would be filled with people in the end. She felt like someone was watching her. You'd think it was a feeling she'd be used to by now, but not when she was completely and utterly alone. The first time she saw it, she laughed to herself about how convincing the optical illusion was. It really did look like there were pinprick eyes watching her from the darkness. But that was just a trick of the light, a reflection of some of the bright, directional lighting they had in the theater. She'd tell her sister about it later, give her the creeps. It wasn't until she started turning the lights off, the only light left, the one shining in from the exit, that she felt a chill run down her spine. When she looked out into the pitch-black theater, the pinprick eyes were still there. And she could have sworn they were looking at her. She didn't tell her sister about it, wanted to forget about it, until the next time she was practicing alone in that theater. She asked Svetlana to stay with her that night, but she was too busy dealing with a shitty landlord to stay for very long, even if she sympathized with Patty's unease. "It's been weird," she said. "Bad weird. But don't let it get to you. You don't want to drown by the shore." And she was right. Patty had worked so hard for this role, and just because things hadn't been right lately didn't mean she could slack off. Even if the pinprick eyes still watched her from the dark, now accompanied by the vague shape of perfect, smiling white teeth. Over time, the eyes gained white, and the teeth gained lips. The more she looked at it, the more it formed, and Patty had to force herself to stop looking. Easier said than done, of course. Hard not to look when she could see them so very clearly in the dark. She was so distracted by the face in the dark, rather, by her efforts to avoid looking at or thinking about the face in the dark, that she didn't notice until the next day that Svetlana was acting a bit strange. Not until her friend agreed to stay with her that day and sit in the front row did Patty notice what was wrong. When she finished her Swanilda, she called out to Svetlana to ask her if anything looked off from the seats, and wondered why Svetlana wasn't answering. In her seat, she saw that Svetlana was bent over, so low that Patty wondered if she was having a headache. "Do you need help?" she asked. "Ibuprofen? A hospital?" She slid herself off the side of the stage and hopped over with her toe shoes still secured. Then she put a hand on Svetlana's shoulder before she felt one on her own. "Get away," she heard a sharp voice like a knife against glass before Svetlana's head shot up and she grabbed at Patty with hands that weren't her own. In the split second Patty saw what she did before turning tail and running. She thought the pale, gray and mottled purple arms that were not her friends were growing out of the chair on either side of her, reaching out with torn nails and broken, crooked fingers. Svetlana herself looked terrified, but her eyes were far away, like she wasn't even really there. Patty ran into the hall, expecting a lit-up path, but ran right into total darkness, but for pinpricks of light from the street. A street light here, a distant restaurant window there. "Oh God, please," she whispered to herself. Her breathing caught when she realized right then that she still felt the weight of a hand on her shoulder. She didn't turn around. Tears streamed from her eyes, but she was silent in her terror. "Don't be afraid," said the same sharp, knife-glass voice. It sounded like a girl, young or younger. It didn't sound natural or real, and Patty only felt more afraid, despite its words. Only when the voice spoke next did the terror transform. She supposed confusion was better than the vice grip around her heart.
"I liked your dance,"
said the voice.
"I can't wait to watch it when you're wearing the dress. I hope it's like before."
Patty breathed deep, collecting herself before whipping around. There was no one there. Nobody at all. She walked slowly back towards the door leading into the theater, thinking of how insane she must have looked to poor Svetlana. As soon as she put a hand on the door handle,
She felt something grip her shoulder, sharp and strong, almost painful, and the same knife-glass voice telling her,
No.
a rumbling growl beneath the light, girlish voice punctuated the order, and it frightened her into submission, forcing her quivering fingers to slip from the metal.
If you go,
Said the voice.
you will die.
Through tears, Patty asked if Svetlana would die. The voice did not answer. She cried, collapsing against the door. She begged the voice, God, whoever was listening, to help. Help Svetlana. Help her. She didn't understand what was happening, but she didn't want her friend to die. The grip on her shoulder eased away. She was left alone, sobbing at the door, for who knows how long, before the lights came back on. Without a second thought, Patty pulled the door open, and she was greeted by a frightening sight. Mottled, broken limbs and bodies hanging from the ceiling. Purple and blue and black and gray and freshly dead. Blood was splattered along the edge of the stage and all over the front seats. Over a crumpled body, not one of the mottled, broken corpses, but a living, breathing, familiar Svetlana. It was a girl soaked in blood, holding a knife in one hand. Patty screamed, and the girl looked at her and... Those eyes. She knew those pinprick eyes. She stepped forward, intending to help her friend, but with her first step, she stumbled, all the strength disappearing from her body as she fainted in the theater aisle. When she next woke, she was in a hospital bed. A nurse greeted her awake, said she was doing well. She asked about Svetlana, and the nurse assured her that her friend was in the waiting room. It was a relief, he said. Nothing serious. A bit of dehydration, a bit of a blood pressure issue. Just stress, getting to her in a big way. He said nothing of the blood, or Svetlana being injured or hurt, and the ballerina herself hugged her as soon as she was allowed in, saying she'd been worried sick when Patty collapsed. It made sense, Patty thought blankly. None of what she thought she saw made sense, after all. All that blood, those broken bone bodies, Svetlana dying in a locked theater. It made no sense. Of course. Patty said nothing of it, even when she returned to rehearsals, reassuring the other dancers that she was healthy enough to perform. She said nothing of what she saw when she rode the train home one night. Pinprick eyes and straight white teeth, smiling at her in the dark window. And the old homeless man who she realized was looking at the same thing, glancing between the impossible face and her own before she got off at the next stop. She wished she could ask him if he saw what she did. But that would be crazy. It wouldn't make any sense. Just as it didn't make any sense when she saw those same pinprick eyes and smiling teeth on opening night, watching her from the shadows. It didn't comfort her to know that they were still watching whoever's eyes and teeth and lips and pale face they were. Even if she knew, somehow, that it liked watching her dance. CJ told me about one of the Weeks family's old estates, where she stored and secured some of Marianne's notes decades ago. Since she works in a museum, she knows a thing or two about preservation, so there should be a lot more information here that I can access that hasn't been lost to time. It's not something other people knew about, at least according to CJ, but I think someone else might have been here recently. I just hope they haven't found what CJ hid away.
Didn't expect to find someone all the way down here. Better for both of us if you come out of the shadows. Ah, I didn't think I'd know you. But unless I'm mistaken, you're the natural user, aren't you?
You know me. So, which elder are you?
Well, not the kind you need to fear. In fact, we might be able to help each other. As a show of trust, you can call me Manfred.
You're listening to Hainai by Motsi Dapul. Hey everyone, it's Motsi, creator and showrunner of the Hainai podcast. Hainai is a podcast produced by Motsi Dapul, Yoy Halago, and Alyssa Jimenez, and licensed under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 4.0 International License. This episode was co-produced by Jesse Goodsell and written and directed by Motsi Dapul. The role of Other Mary was played by Motsi Dapul, and the role of Manfred was played by Odd Andrews. The YouTubers at the beginning of this episode were played by Daisy McNamara, Kevin Berrey, Lou Sutcliffe, Jamie Patronis, and Taylor Michaels. If you'd like to chat with other listeners when this episode goes live, we do a live premiere every Sunday at 9 p.m. ET or Toronto time on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/HainaiPod. To help support the production of Hainai, you can subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/HainaiPod. You'll get to be part of our early access program, where we release episodes 3 days early on Thursday at 9 p.m. ET or Toronto time. You can also get bonus video, audio, art, and much more. Speaking of Patreon, we'd love to give a special shout-out to the following patrons for all their amazing support. Maha, Mr. Drifter, Nikki Green, Cy B.A., Emily C., Lauren Morton, Prinks Variety, Didi Chenak, Chandra, Atch W., Tony Baloney, Nay, Boyo, Phoenix Luna, Kate Jordan, Tiana Harvey, Sabine, Ben, DC Squirrel, Jess Snow, Nonette Dapul, Tanisha Wesley, Mika, Anna, Sooks, Becca Terrier, Amelia Brownstein, Diana Cause, Melissa, Emma H., Faye Fungi, Pablo Neurotic, Ostra Kim, Megan, Jessie Goodsell, Malaya Light, and Victoria Goodwin. Thank you for all your support. If you subscribe at the ATET tier or the $10 tier and above, you get bonus episodes, bonus content, the full B-sides, and you get your name shouted out on every episode in the credits, just like our wonderful supporters here. If you can't subscribe monthly, you have the option to buy us a milk tea on Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/HiNiPod. Our ad-free HiNi album, which has our official music and full episodes from Act 1 and 2, is also available for both patrons and to purchase on our coffee shop. Check out our website, hinipod.com, for more info, and follow us on all our socials, on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky, and even our YouTube posts, at HiNiPod, for updates and more information, especially when we have special events. And as always, thank you, we love you, and hanggang sa muli.